What's up, icons? It's the iconic fashion figure back with a new video. So this is the video you probably all have been waiting for, at least those of you that are looking to design your own line. And this week I'm finally going to tell you where to find your factories to make your new clothing line that you are designing. Now, given the fact that we have the rules of social distancing and a lot of shows and gatherings have been canceled because they don't want overcrowding, it may be a little harder to find factories right now, especially if you're looking to import from another country. Traveling restrictions may prevent you from visiting these places, which is one of my recommendations, is to visit the factory that you want to work with. But of course that may be hard. However, there are other ways of going about that, which I'm going to do a video and tips on how to find the proper factory, so I'll talk about that. But for right now, I'm going to give you the sources on where to find the factory. So starting with number one, which I'm sure you all already know, I'm going to say it, is at trade shows. Trade shows is your number one place to find your factory. It's the easiest way to find a factory. They're literally coming to you to show you what they can do for you. All you have to do is meet them halfway by showing up at the trade shows. Now, like I said, with social distancing, things have been canceled, so a lot of trade shows have been canceled. However, we're at the end of 2020, and I know a lot of these trade shows are eager to get back into place, so you may see more trade shows in 2021 that you can show up to. Some are doing things virtually, so you can visit online. You can find those factories online. I'll also give you other ways you can find factories online. But as far as trade shows, some of the top trade shows you'll want to go to, of course, is sourcing at Magic, which Magic is in Las Vegas, usually happens twice a year. They do have a separate section at Magic that is strictly about sourcing. So whether you're looking for the right fabrics or looking for a factory to actually make the products for you, sourcing at Magic is a good place to go to. Magic is well known, so a lot of factories tend to go there. Another trade show you can attend is Source Direct at ASD. Again, that's another Las Vegas trade show you can attend, but there are some on the East Coast for those of you that are on the East Coast, like Tex World in New York. And the one that I went to here in Miami is Apparel Textile Sourcing, ATS. That one is a newer trade show, but it actually was a really good turnout for me to have gone the first year. I think they're on year 3 now. I think it's been around for 3 years. But it was a pretty good trade show. Most of them from China that were there, but there were some places like Mexico and South America in general where there were factories there. There were also people there that would help you find factories in their country. So you may not have had actual factories here, but there was someone representing that country that will help you source the factory in their country, depending on where you want to work, like India or Bangladesh or anywhere like that. And then of course there are all the trade shows that are international. So like there's trade shows in China that you can go to. There's trade shows in India that you can go to, but those you will have travel to get there. For those of you that aren't ready to attend a trade show yet and you just prefer to do your research online from home, there are ways you can find factories online. So I'm going to start with a website for those of you that are looking to find factories here in the US. You want your stuff made domestically. You do not want to have to import from another country. There is a website called Makers Row. There is a subscription that is required to use Makers Row. However, it is a good website to be able to find factories. And it's not just factories for clothing. You can find apparel, you can find handbags. There's the packaging, so boxes and bags, labels, tags, all of that. You can find it on Makers Row. There is a section on there which I'll show you guys where it'll show you some of the factories. At least you can see their name. You may not be able to see their contact information before signing up for any subscriptions, but then you will obviously have to like Google and try to research to find contact information to contact them. Or you can just do the subscription and they'll give you the contact information and you can actually contact them directly through the website. But Makers Row is a really good place to start, especially for those of you that are looking to produce domestically and those of you that want to produce in small quantities. Because like I mentioned in the video where I talked about domestic versus international, when you're going with the import route, it's better to do larger volumes. But if you're going with smaller volumes, try starting here in the US and have it made domestically. That's usually where you can get your small quantities. Another good way to find factories, whether it's here in the US or or this can be international too, literally just Google the term full package manufacturer. Those are factories that literally produce from beginning to end for you. So you don't have to go out and find someone to make the patterns for you. You don't have to source the fabrics yourself. They do all of that for you. And as a beginner, that's something I recommend, especially if you don't know those areas like pattern making, tech packs, and sourcing out fabrics, knowing which fabrics work for which designs, all that stuff. If you're not familiar with those, you'll definitely want that full package service because they'll do all of that for you. You just give them your idea and they'll make it come to life for you. Now, the one that you all may run to because it's so well known is Alibaba. Of course, you can go on Alibaba and try to find your factory. I'm a little biased when it comes to Alibaba just because I had a bad experience on there, so I personally don't recommend it to people, but there are people out there that have had good experiences with it. I'll just give you my short story about when I first started and why I stayed away from Alibaba. So I started out sourcing my factories on their website, and I have found a few that I wanted to work with. I didn't jump into working with them right away because I knew the trade show here in Miami was coming up the next month. I wanted to go to that show to see what was available there before working with anyone. I wanted to weigh out all my options. Now, one of the factories that I found on Alibaba just so happened to also be at this trade show. So that gave me a good feeling like, okay, they're serious about working if they came all the way to Miami from China. They paid to set up a booth and, you know, they're here and they're willing to work with me. And when I sat down and I was showing them the work, they immediately remembered who I was. Then they were ready to go. It made me feel real comfortable. So they were definitely one of my top picks. So after the show, we're talking and discussing things and I'm ready to work with them. I'm sending them the work. I'm telling them send me invoices so I can start paying for this stuff because they were one of the factories where they charged you for the samples, but once you actually produce with them, that money you pay towards the samples will go towards your production. I typically don't like paying for the samples because there are factories that'll do it for free, but if they were willing to take that amount and put it towards the production, then that made me feel a little better about it, especially when you're charging like $100 for a sample. It's something crazy. So I was willing to go ahead and pay for the samples. I needed the invoice. When we got to the invoice portion, things started getting tricky. All the red flags started popping up. Now, certain payment types they don't want to accept after that was a part of our contract. That was in our agreement on our payment terms. Everything changed there, and they said that they got scammed by someone else, so now they don't do it anymore, and I needed to pay upfront, and they wanted it wire transfer. They wouldn't take credit card. They wouldn't do it through Alibaba. They wouldn't take PayPal. Nothing where it would protect me. So now I'm sending them my money and I'm not protected. There was something else that happened too, and that was my deal breaker. I don't even remember what now, but I know that was the red flag there. Oh, and then the sample stuff. So we're discussing samples, and when that would come in and everything just started changing, like everything we had agreed on and signed on, because I make people sign on everything, they were reneging on everything we agreed. So like my turnaround time on the samples and what they could and couldn't do, because now they're telling me, for instance, there was one style, there were specific fabrics I wanted to use for it. They agreed they can do it, and of course when it came down to paying, now all of a sudden they had to change things and they wanted to use cheaper fabrics, and I'm not paying that price for that style if it's not the fabric I want. If you're using cheaper fabric, I'm gonna pay you a cheaper price. So long story short, it was just all these things that started changing, all these red flags. I cut ties with them. I was not working with them. It was just too much for me. But that was only one time where I had a bad experience. There was another one where I actually did go as far as sampling things, and the samples did not come in as we discussed. So it was just like, for me, no Alibaba. I had already found other factories at the show anyway, and those were phenomenal, so I stayed away from Alibaba. Don't let my experience influence you, because there are people that say they have good experiences on there. It's all about just finding the right factory. Another option for those of you that are looking to produce domestically and looking to produce in small quantities, you can look for a seamstress in your area. It seems nowadays there are less and less seamstress out there, but if you can find a seamstress in your area, a lot of times you can just show them your designs and they'll create it for you, especially if you can find one that knows patterns, or some don't even need a pattern. They can make it just by looking at your picture. So find someone that can make it for you in your area, at least the samples, so you can sample it, and then you can find a bigger factory once you know that's what you want to produce. But a lot of time, if you find a seamstress in your area, you can then partner up with them and they'll continue doing this for you. And even though they may not work for you, they're willing to help you because it's money in their pocket, and then it's helping you out as well. So finding a seamstress in your area is a good way to go. Craigslist used to be a good way to find it. I don't know, Craigslist is a little sketchy now. Plus, they also charge for those type of ads on Craigslist, so I've noticed less and less of them are going up. People aren't posting them because they don't have to pay for the ad. But maybe like Facebook has a lot of ads on there. You'll see people posting like what they can do and what type of work they're looking for. You may be able to find them on there as well. And then for the last way that you can find your factories to produce your line is simply by referrals. Once you start working in the industry and you become connected and getting to know people, you'll be surprised what referrals you'll receive. So maybe you may start communicating with one factory, but you can't meet their minimum quantity. They may be able to recommend you somewhere else that can produce a smaller quantity, or maybe that's just not their area of expertise. Like they make denim, but you want a sweater. They may be able to recommend a factory that can produce sweaters. I've gotten that quite a bit too, especially working in China. They'll recommend to me where to go to get this, and this is how I've been able to build up my line, is by a lot of recommendations. They've helped me out quite a bit. So by referral is also a good way to go. Of course, you have to know someone in the industry before you'll start getting referrals, but once you start doing your research, those referrals will start coming along. For the most part, that's all I can think of. There are a bunch of other websites similar to like Maker's Row and Alibaba that are online that you can use too, but those are the more popular ones. Those are some that are a little more trusted. And then for like Maker's Row, there are quite a few websites like that, but again, I don't really know much about them, so I'm not going to sit here and recommend it to you guys, but definitely Google it. Even if you just want to start out with Googling the full package manufacturer like I mentioned, there will be a lot of factories that'll pop up on the Google list. That's it for this video. Next time I will do a video just telling you the tips and tricks on finding the right factories, what red flags to stay away from, and then what things to look for to know that you found a good factory and someone you can trust. Thank you for watching.